I live in this house with my parents. You are a disturbance, so please leave.
I was shocked. My husband, James, is a kind of guy who prioritizes his opinions and emotions. It's been hard to keep up with him. I didn't like the idea of living with his parents. That would be difficult for me, so I could not agree with him. But a week later, I never imagined he asked me to leave. I could not see how he can afford the monthly mortgage of $3,000. With all that in my mind, I told James, "All right, I'll leave, but I want you to sign this." And I handed him a document. My name is Catherine. I'm 32 years old and I work as a management consultant. My job is to analyze the current situation of companies and I point out their problems. And I give management advices. Working for this job, I caught the James attention. James was working for this company. This brought a significant change to my life. James was the only son of the CEOs at a corporation. He was affiliated to that company. He learned that I was a management consultant. And from that moment, he developed a strong interest in me. Even though we worked in the same office, he never had the courage to ask me anything. He started gathering more information about me and my current contract from his father, the CEO. Furthermore, he asked my colleagues who interacted with me.
What exactly did you discuss with her?
I heard he kept repeating such questions to my colleagues. Then, I was analyzing the situation of the company, and I was totally unaware of what he was doing. However, when my days were numbered for the company, he took an unexpected action. Right in front of our colleagues, he offered me a bouquet of red roses.
Would you walk into the future with me?
It was a romantic proposal just like out of a movie or TV drama. I was surprised to receive such an unexpected proposal at work, especially from CEO's son. I told him I need some time to think, but he wanted to know the answer right away.
I want you to answer right now.
He insisted. Before his intense enthusiasm, I felt a bit overwhelmed and carefully chose my words in reply. If I were to advise from a friend's perspective. Additionally, a situation arose where he wanted my personal information. Moreover, other staff were there, and even the CEO, his father, was beside him. Under this circumstance, I didn't have the courage to say no to his request. I felt a coercive atmosphere was not good for an organization. The company A, which James previously belonged to, had a unique, intense athletic culture. This culture influenced the entire atmosphere of the organization and working attitude. Even if you have difficulties at work, they believed the passion would be solved it. Moreover, excessive overtime work and pressure to do well were considered as something that you can overcome with passion. Those who found it difficult to adapt to this corporate culture were labeled as lacking grit or energy. Conclusions were made without properly analyzing these reasons. I pointed out such issues of Company A and also suggested some remedies. However, to change the current situation of a company and what actions to take was dependent on CEOs. From the look of surprise and apprehension of the CEO who had listened to my proposal, I thought I should not expect significant improvements in a short time. If you seek advice from a management consultant and don't implement it, there is no point in consultation and giving advices. In that case, you might feel that the investment was pointless. Amidst of all this, after finishing my work at a company, I shifted my attention to new relationship with James. James texts me straightforward greetings like good morning and good night every day. And he asked me out on weekends. I have never had such a passionate boyfriend. I have never had such fervent, affectionate boyfriend like James. Therefore, I was deeply drawn to James' warm charm. I believed without doubt if he loves me so deeply, his love towards me would remain the same after our wedding. However, I might have been a bit wrong. He didn't change suddenly, nor his character or attitude. As we proceeded to marriage without living together, different sides of him became clear in our daily life. For example, he does not know how to handle money. But that's not all. He struggled planning his days. If someone tells him they have plans on a particular day, he doesn't jot them down, so he forgot lots of things. Because of this habit, he has fewer friends he goes out with now. I remember when we were dating, we had conversations like,
"Are you off today?"
And when I confirm, he'd suggest,
"In that case, let's go somewhere it's fun."
We did not make clear plans. I felt this action wasn't so much because he's purposeful, more because he tends to forget if plans were made in advance. Sticking to plans can be challenging to him, and not being able to handle accurate money calculation in daily life is highly risky. He can do basic multiplication, and if you give him a simple math problem, he can find the correct answer. However, when it comes to real money calculations, especially budget management, it's not easy for him to express his desire for expensive items, even when they cost beyond his monthly income of $3,000.
"I want this."
When I express my concerns saying, "Why would you want to buy something so expensive? It's important to only choose what's necessary for living," he looks a bit displeased.
I can afford this.
Saying so, he pulled out a credit card from his wallet. The credit card he carried wasn't just his. It was a card shared his parents. Then his background reminded me something. His parents always gave him anything he want. That might be the reason he doesn't realize the value and proper way to spend money. Ever since we have been married, I noticed his sense of money is a bit different. There were some issues that couldn't be solved soon. I strongly felt that he needs to understand the importance of money and savings. One day I decided to take him to a grocery shopping and explain to him the significance of setting a budget and buying only what's necessary. Even with my sincere advice, it seemed he had no intention of learning it. Then, all of a sudden,
Catherine, I cannot figure out. Why are you so cheap?
I was so shocked. All I could say was, huh? I had been trying to adjust to James's all this time. I was concerned of potential financial problem. Unfortunately, James did not get the idea. What I tried to teach might have annoyed him. Why are you like that? We're married now. Don't you think we need to save money for our future kids and building a new home? Despite all my explanation, James never had to be patient with anything. He didn't grasp the meaning of my words. I tried to respect his feelings, looking at things from his point of view, and made a lot of effort so we can come closer. However, I wasn't successful conveying my thoughts. One day, I was called to James's parents' house.
Catherine, I've heard from James, and it sounds like you're pressuring him to save money.
I chuckled with her words. But Linda, James is not frugal at all. We're married now, and I'd like him to change his mind about spending money. I planned our future with James, and I felt the need to act in that way so we would not have financial problems. I believed I was making the right choice for him and for our future. However, James apparently did not receive my genuine messages. To James, my advice and suggestions were just nagging. Why do you think like that? Now that we've started our life as a married couple, there are anticipated expenses waiting, like if we have a child or plan for a new home. I think managing and saving money is very important now. I need you to change your mind and thoughts. He never had to be patient. He always got what he wanted. I tried to respect his feelings, see things from his perspective, and getting him to understand my viewpoint. However, it seemed he did not get the message. When I expressed my thoughts to my in-laws, they looked at me in surprise and confusion. Appeared to be we had a disagreement. After uncomfortable silence, my father-in-law started to talk, saying,
"We believed you at first due to your position you held in my company. However, knowing you as a wife of James, who will be the next CEO, it's surprising to know your modest nature. We'd like you to consider the company's position of James and adopt a more affluent lifestyle."
I've occasionally been addressed or advised as a woman before, but I felt like my father-in-law belittled me. Regarding my profession and opinions, my expertise and management, my father-in-law did not fully agree. The advices and suggestions I gave to my father-in-law, he did not seem to listen. Maybe he believes that our company is fine as it is. The reason I was brought to this company as a management consultant was due to the company's senior management urging change, not my father-in-law's decision. The executive team strongly felt the necessity that something has to be done. That was a big concern for a company's future growth. Just because I am married to James, who's anticipated to be the next CEO of a company, doesn't look too bright. This also doesn't mean our lifestyle will be affluent overnight. James was only making $12,000 a month. The way he worked was inefficient, and he occasionally caused inconveniences to people around him that prevented him to miss on promotions. I was aware that he's been labeled as liable CEO's son. I tried to help him teach money management, budgeting, and making wise decisions. Instead of listening, he ran off to his parents. That sure was disappointing. At times, I wonder why I decided to marry someone like James. But now we were already married, there are nothing I can do about. Dad, Mom. Assets and savings are not something that always lasts. James is using the family credit card now, but this is only a temporary. I want him to be more frugal for our future. I believed expressed a valid opinion, but his father, my father-in-law, seemed he could not approve it.
Are you saying you know the right way to use money? That sounds like James doesn't know how to handle money.
My father-in-law raised his voice. I think it's a serious problem. James spends more on a credit card than his monthly salary. James and his parents didn't see this as a problem. This kind of situation led us to a disagreement, and I find it difficult to come a consent. No matter how hard I try, James believes he is absolutely right. That made me hard to take any further action. I told them I understand, but I was insecure. If James and my in-laws don't change their spending habits, I seriously have to think about this marriage, even a divorce. Especially if I can't expect any financial support from my in-laws, there's a high chance James will start relying on my assets and savings. Amidst this uncertainty, we received an offer for a new place to live. We had always dreamed of moving into a new home before our marriage, and we have been pursuing it so that dream would come into a reality. We have been searching for our future home before these monetary issues arose. I'm in the process of buying a property for $400,000 under my name and setting up a mortgage. Everything is almost ready for us to move in. With monthly mortgage payments of $3,000 and potentially having to cover James's overspending costs, I definitely want to avoid such a situation. With these thoughts in mind, I visited the city hall to get the divorce paper. When I decide to have a divorce, I plan to prepare documents that won't put me to a disadvantage and get him to sign them. Shortly after moving into the new house, James suggested,
Catherine, how about letting my parents live with us? That way, they can control your actions. Catherine, when did you ever see me go off the rails?
I definitely cannot accept living with your parents. I've always tried to respect your wishes as much as possible without making you uncomfortable, but living with in-laws is unimaginable. His true intentions became clear. James just wanted an ally to confront me. I said no to his suggestions. His expression changed. I became a target just to be criticized. I feared that this is an issue. Sooner than I thought, that day arrived.
This house is for me and my parents to live together. You are getting in the way of our life. Therefore, I want you to leave this house.
I was shocked by his words. In my heart, I couldn't contain my surprise, thinking, was he really such a selfish person? He never reflected on his spending habits and had been voicing his complaints about me to his parents. As a result, his parents started to criticize me. While he was doing all this behind my back, he avoided confronting me directly. Additionally, as if he couldn't confront me by himself, he decided to start living in this house with his parents. And even though I was the one bearing the responsibility of repaying the mortgage of this house, he asked me to leave. He seemed to have not given any serious thought to our future financial planning, his savings, or his parents' financial situation. Just 1 week after I refused to live with his parents, he informed me that he had decided to take care of them here and, moreover, ordered me to leave the house. Can he really afford the monthly mortgage of $3,000? I wondered. Then I told him, all right, I'll leave. But before that, can you sign this? I presented him with an official document. He seemed to accept anything without suspicion. But when he saw the divorce papers I handed him, his expression instantly changed to one of shock.
Wait, what? Are you talking about divorce? Why would it come to that?
I believe we both understand how different our views on money are, given our interactions and life together so far. I no longer see the point in continuing to live under the same roof. Tears welled up in his eyes, trying to hold back the sadness. It was clear that he once deeply loved me. However, from his recent behavior and words, it was also evident he found me bothersome. Honestly, I couldn't believe in a future with him anymore. He might have thought that being apart from me would allow him to lead a life truer to himself. With this in mind, when I communicated my fading feelings to him,
Can you really let go off me that easily? Living beside me, the future CEO, don't you care about that status and privilege?
I've never been interested in such status or honor from the beginning. Can you sign the necessary documents now? Given my resolute stance, he responded,
So you're truly okay with this? Everything is all right.
Even though I reassured him by saying, it's all right, he repeatedly sought confirmation with a hint of anxiety. After about an hour of discussion, he finally signed the divorce papers. When I asked for his signature on more documents, he became emotional but provided the required information. Those papers specifically stated that he would be responsible for the mortgage payments going forward, highlighting a crucial detail I needed him to acknowledge. Carrying these documents, I immediately visited the real estate agency and thoroughly explained our current situation and reasons. I was candid about the differences and future expectations between us. After that, I felt no need to act on his behalf, so I carefully packed my belongings and left the house we shared. Just a few days after I left, neighbors told me that James's parents had moved in. Time passed, and about a month later, it seemed James received an urgent notice from the bank. Shortly after, I got a frantic call from him.
Why? The bank contacted me saying they couldn't withdraw the mortgage payment. What's happening?
Why are you asking me that?
Wasn't it you who was mainly in charge of the mortgage payments? So, I thought it would be reasonable to ask you about it.
I responded with a mix of astonishment and a deep sigh. It seems he had not realized that the document I had him sign after submitting the divorce papers was transferring the responsibility of the mortgage payment to him. Moreover, I was taken aback that he had not noticed the importance of the credit card information he entered in that document. Perhaps, without checking his savings status, he might have rashly provided the bank information. As evidence, the fact that he received a call from the bank just 1 month after the divorce indicates that he failed to make the mortgage payment in the first month after the divorce. Our relationship is over. It's unrealistic to expect me to pay the mortgage. After all, I no longer live in that house. And you remember signing the mortgage agreement during the divorce and even included your bank details, right?
Wait, does that mean my account lacked the funds for the mortgage deduction?
Exactly. It's clear that you're overspending compared to your income. With a monthly income of $3,000, it's nearly impossible to make a $3,000 mortgage payment if you live luxuriously. From his expression, it was evident that he came to understand his financial situation. However, either feeling he couldn't ask me for financial support or out of desperation.
In that case, I have no choice but to consult my father. I'm currently living with him, so he should be able to support me with the rent at least.
Determined to seek help from his father as his last resort, he told me and abruptly ended the call. I quietly placed my smartphone on the table, took a deep breath, and muttered in a slightly surprised tone, "Is he really going to rely on his father-in-law?" James, in his everyday life, seemed indifferent to his job and was merely living as a regular employee. Although he claimed to be a CEO, he might not have had any interest or knowledge about the actual business operations and internal affairs of the company he worked at daily. And I had heard that his company was currently facing a management crisis. In fact, I was previously approached for business advice by some executives who were more concerned about the company's future than James's father. Father-in-law was extremely critical of my proposals and opinions.
How much can a woman know about business? I won't listen to someone so inexperienced and young.
He firmly expressed his rejection. Then, he tore up the documents and ideas I had worked hard on right in front of me. The company's executives and leadership were taken aback by this.
At this rate, there's no promising future for this company.
Feeling this way, they decided to leave the company with the skilled employees to seek a new path. Subsequently, the company's condition further deteriorated. The workload of the remaining employees increased drastically, causing more of them to suffer from overwork and stress-related health problems, and many eventually resigned. As the company led by my father-in-law continued losing workers, its financial struggles intensified. People in town began to whisper that bankruptcy was imminent, and there was a palpable sense that it might be true. Against this dire backdrop, my father-in-law, feeling the financial strain, must have decided to let go of the home he once lived in. Behind his decision to start a new life with his son, James, might have been the salary he paid James. I could have guessed James wasn't making enough, but I was a bit taken aback when he eyed my assets during tough times. I felt that his bias against me working as a woman played a role. As expected, I got a surprise call from James one evening.
Dad got super mad at me.
I could clearly hear his voice, choked with tears, over the phone. What surprised me more was that he hadn't yet told his family about our divorce. My in-laws thought I was on a long business trip and planned to celebrate our new house with a dinner at an upscale sushi restaurant upon my return. Knowing the situation, James found it even harder to break the news of our divorce. "I know you and Dad are struggling financially. That's why I think repaying a monthly loan of $3,000 is clearly impossible," I calmly communicated. Hearing this, James seemed to genuinely recognize his mistake for the first time and deeply sighed as he spoke.
Catherine, you were right all along. From now on, I'll reevaluate our finances, live frugally, and manage our lives more efficiently. So let's start over, together, in this house once again.
"So you mean, while I take care of you and your parents, I should bear the monthly loan of $3,000? That's a bit difficult for me," I replied. Afterwards, to block any communication from James, I blocked all his and his parents' contacts and got a new smartphone for extra safety. The company A, run by James's father, was definitely heading towards bankruptcy due to economic downturns, management issues, and key employees leaving one after the other. Many weren't surprised by this development. In fact, except for James and his parents, many had predicted the downfall of Company A. Ultimately, James's family couldn't bear the pressure of the hefty loan repayments and seemed to have no choice but to sell their house. The company's bankruptcy left the family in significant debt. As a response, the entire family started working hard from dawn till dusk to repay even a small part of the debt. Fortunately for me, I decided and finalized the divorce at the right moment before being asked to help with their challenging situation. Now, I live in peace and comfort.